Welcome, adventure seekers. We're uncommon voyagers, otherwise known as Mandy and Greg, Brisbane, Australia's almost empty nesters, about to turn our midlife crisis into an Italian escapade. Our mission? Spend 2025 getting ready to make the life-changing move to Italy. We'll be juggling home renovations, Italian house hunting, planning slow travel, prepping our kids to survive without us, and cramming our entire life into 2 suitcases. If you love big dreams with a sprinkling of chaos, we'd love for you to come along for the ride. Hit subscribe. It'll be bellissimo.
Hi guys, welcome back. Thanks for watching. If you're following along so far, I think we're up to about video 4 or 5, which is a little bit exciting. Today it'll be about another town that's kind of in our to-do list in looking for our Italy home. Before I get started though, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it in this video, but my mum got me a t-shirt which is super cool, and I'll try and show it, but it basically says, "Italy is calling and I must go." Truer words have never been spoken. Just thought I'd share that, and shout out to Mum for getting me the t-shirt. I love it. Now, Popoli. When we were there in October in Italy, in Abruzzo, we kind of did some exploring by ourselves. Now, just via train. We were going to hire a car because we wanted to get a really good look at the countryside, but I also felt like that was kind of not really an accurate way to figure out what we liked. Although it would have got us to towns faster, we knew that we were going on the 2-day tour with Dave from a home in Italy, so we really wanted to try and get around as we would intend to get around, or as I would intend to get around when we're there. So essentially, our first day that we were in Abruzzo, we just got off a cruise ship in Naples, and we jumped on a Flixbus and went over to Pescara, which is where we were staying. That's where the tour was starting every day and finishing every day, so we stayed there. So essentially we just wanted to look at the train line and see what towns were along the train line, and we wanted to do the Sulmona line essentially because Sulmona was actually a really big contender for me to begin with until I visited. I still like Sulmona, but it's not nearly at the top of my list anymore. It's probably a little bit too big. So the point being, we wanted to kind of see what was along the Sulmona line, and Popoli has always kind of been on my radar just because of some of the videos that Dave's done there already, and I've always kind of liked the look of it. Look, it's an ancient town. It used to have some thermal springs, I think, that got shut down, but have since they've reopened, or they're about to reopen, which is a little bit exciting. And also one of the videos that I'm going to share, well, I'm going to share one of the houses that Dave did in his video. I'm going to share that today. Essentially, he was saying in that there's a lot of stuff going on in the town in terms of, new restaurants, new bars, and the new hot springs or thermal springs opening. So I feel as though it kind of hits that sweet spot in terms of infrastructure, but mostly, I know this sounds awful because it's an absolutely beautiful town, but mostly I actually love the walk from the train into town. It's a 5-minute walk, stroll, I would say. If you power walked, you'd probably be at the train station in 3 from the centre of town to the train station. You walk over this lovely, well, it's not actually a lovely bridge. You kind of have to walk into the traffic you'll see in the video. There's no path, but we kind of just stopped on the bridge and looked at the water, which was crystal clear because it was just a nice walk into town. So super easy. And one thing that's important to some people, not so much to me at this point, but to some people, to me it's actually quite friendly if you have any sort of physical disability that might, stop you from going into one of these towns because of the hills. It's a really flat walk from the train station into the center of town. Now, what I will end up showing you is how many steps and how high up it does go, but the thing I really like about this town is that you get the best of both worlds. So it's quite flat to walk into. There's lots of houses, and all of the kind of there's a school that I could see, there was parks, everything super flat, which would be absolutely perfect for someone who may have to make some considerations about their physical fitness or any sort of disability that might stop them going up steps easily. So that's a really great kind of selling point as well. you know, as you get older, although I know that a bunch of, you know, Italian nonnas and granddads and whatever probably walk up 1,000 steps a day, which is why they're so fit. People just have to think about that sort of stuff. So, you know, if I ever have a knee or a hip that goes out, I don't want to have, you know, made it as really, really difficult for myself. With that said, the house that Dave shows that I like actually has 3 floors to go up. So who knows? All I'm saying is that to actually get into the town, it's an enjoyable walk. It was lovely to stand on the, by Australian standards, unsafe bridge. You probably wouldn't have that in Australia. Someone would sue someone for there not being a footpath there. But anyway, this is Italy, which is what I love. So yeah, I hope you enjoy what I share today. I just thought I'd give this little intro just to give you an idea. I'm going to be sharing 2 different places. One is one that Dave essentially showed us. He's done a video for it, but he also, that was one of the houses that we went to and actually physically saw on the tour. So actually, I will say I liked it. It's very, very small, which isn't a bad thing if it's just Greg and I and maybe, you know, the kids. Look, if the kids ever came and stayed, they could all bunk in and that would be fine. We're not looking for somewhere that's really based on, you know, when visitors come. A lot of people are like, oh, what if visitors come? Oh, I have to have extra rooms and all that sort of stuff. Not that fast. If you can fit, you can fit. If you don't, well, that's what hotels are for. So I know that sounds a bit cutthroat, but I really don't want to base my search on what will suit someone who may in the near future or not come to visit. So but it is, the one that I'm showing you that Dave shared is very small, but to be honest with you, it may have been a contender. It doesn't have a lot of personality. I think that's a nice way of saying it. But the main thing I actually don't like is I feel as though it's overpriced. So it's $65,000. I believe that includes fees and taxes, but it's still, I mean, I would look at it if it was around the 40 mark, but to me, it's actually quite overpriced. Even for Popoli, it's quite overpriced. So, but I just thought I'd share it anyway because someone else might see the value in it and actually like it. You know, what I like and what others don't are 2 different things. So I don't dislike it, but I dislike the price. So yeah, I think that it would be somewhere that I might consider if the price was a little lower. Anyway, the second one I'm going to share with you, it's much older, but I see so much potential in it. Whenever I see a dome ceiling, I just get a bit excited because I think to myself, oh, there's some stone or there's some brickwork to expose. And I get excited for me to see it, and I get excited to break the news to Greg that he might have to try and expose some of it for me. So I don't think he's watching any of these videos, believe it or not. So he's going to get some bad news somewhere along the way where I'm telling him or volunteering him to do some stuff he doesn't want to do. Anyway, we did see this gorgeous little house, like kind of tucked away. I'll put the picture up. It was kind of in a little courtyard, and it just looked like something you'd see in a movie. And I saw a Vendici sign on it, and I thought, oh, that's kind of tickled my fancy. I wouldn't mind seeing inside of that. And then when we went to visit the house as part of the tour, I was standing outside with Dave because it's directly across the courtyard from the house that we were seeing. And I said to Dave, you know, how would I actually get to have to look in there? I'm actually really intrigued by that house. And he said to me that it's actually already on their radar, but it's very, very small and very, very expensive. So I'm assuming that if 65,000 is considered reasonable to Dave and he says something's expensive, then it's already outside of our budget. So anyway, but it was very cute, and I've popped the pictures up anyway, but it's just a picture of the courtyard. So anyway, we decided to go and explore a little bit. We did all the back streets. There's a lot of work going on, which I think is a good sign. Like, all of these places are becoming revitalized, which is wonderful. We had a little sit in the town square. I wish it had been a market day, but the video that Dave does actually shows the market day if you want to get a vibe for what that would look like. But what we actually, for some reason, Greg decided, I can't remember the name of it, and I'll put it up here. Greg decided he wanted to walk up to the castle that's way, way up the top of Popoli. So it kind of overlooks the town. Now, I was not dressed for hiking. I just had on like a pair of jeans and, and my pretty white shoes that aren't particularly comfortable. So he talked me into it anyway. And we walked and we met a cat along the way. We met a couple of cats along the way. But we had one particular cat that literally decided to just walk along beside us and was kind of guiding us. Anyway, we walked and walked and walked and we walked for quite a bit, and then the path kind of got a little bit more narrower, and then it turned into dirt. And then I realised that I hadn't walked, or I hadn't really got fit like I normally do before going on a trip this time. I was a little bit lazy, and I'd also just been eating my way through a cruise ship the week before, so I was a bit huffed and puffed, and I just said to Greg, I'm not that invested in this this castle up the top today, although I imagine the views would have been amazing. So we kind of walked halfway up and then decided that that we were just going to come back down. Plus, I don't know why, because I realised the cat would have known what it was doing, but I was kind of stressing out that the cat was walking with us, and then what happens if it, like, got lost. I know that's probably a stupid thing to say, but I was just like, I'm really focused on the cat right now. Let's get the cat home. So anyway, we had a wonderful walk around Popoli. It's definitely a contender in terms of towns. I will pop the population up in here, but last time I looked, I feel as though it's just on the 5,000 mark, and I imagine that will grow as things continue to, to revitalize in the town. Prices in Popoli are comparably higher than other towns. It's probably along the same kind of range as Sulmona, or maybe a little bit less. I would say much more expensive than, say, Prezza or Ferro San Martino. They're probably two examples I would give of towns that are, to me, I love just as much, but the price points are a little bit lower. So yeah, I really enjoyed our day in Popoli. We were there probably about 2 hours. We wandered around. It was super casual, super chill. Anyway, if ease of getting into town is your thing, and it's really important to you that you have public transport like it is for me, I think Popoli is actually a really good contender for anyone who wants to live there. And also, if you have a bigger budget than us, you would probably find something really beautiful there. If there's places that you'd like to work on to make it look better, and to bring it back to its former glory, then there's loads of opportunity in Popoli. So again, we basically started in Pescara, and then we got on the Sulmona line, because you have to keep going a bit further to get to Sulmona. So yeah, we jumped on the Pescara, jumped on the train, and I think it took us, I would say, to Popoli, it took us about 45 minutes on the train from Pescara. And then I think it was like maybe an extra 10 minutes on the train, 10-15 minutes to get to Sulmona. So yeah, it was a pretty chill train ride. It was actually quite nice, and I really enjoyed Popoli. So it's definitely still sitting there as an option. I just don't know if we'll be priced out of Popoli, essentially, because I don't want to spend that much money. So also, I do acknowledge that by saying that $65,000 for somewhere to live, which is essentially 125,000 Australian dollars, is ridiculous. You can't even get a caravan in Australia for $125,000. So I do understand when I say that probably sounds a bit obnoxious, but by Italy standards, to me, that's overpriced. But if you're living in a tent, which is what, or not even a caravan. Actually, you might get a dodgy caravan in a caravan park that charges you $500 a week anyway to park your caravan there. That's what Australia's like at the moment. This would be an amazing option for someone who decided to retire in Italy so that you could actually live. So, yeah. I thought I better add that because I do feel like upon reflection, it's probably a little bit obnoxious to say that something's overpriced at 65,000 euros, which is essentially 125,000 Australian, so, or something around there. The exchange rate changes all the time, and I tend to just kind of double or close to double things. So anyway, thank you for watching today. I really hope you're enjoying what I'm doing so far, and I'll keep popping these up as I find little towns that are contenders, or new places in the towns that are contenders. But I'm hoping to essentially pull the trigger on something in the next few months, because there can be a bit of a time difference between when you decide to make them do this in Italy. Things can move glacially slow, as I'm told. So yeah, Greg and I want to be making a decision sooner rather than later, but right now we're not in a panic. We'll keep looking, but we'll definitely share with you, once a decision is made, and what we decide to go with. So I may keep adding to the towns as they pop up and I discover something new, but I'm actually trying to stick to towns that I actually got to visit, because then I realise that I've already kind of had a feel for what they're like. So thank you for watching, everyone. Like, subscribe, share, that would be awesome if you want to come along with us on this ride. And I'll start talking about things that we're really doing from a practical sense as well moving forward. So for instance, last week I applied for Greg's Codus Fiscale because he has his British passport and I don't have mine yet. So I'll talk about that in a separate video. But there's things that I'm going to talk about as well in terms of more practical things that we're having to start to do, because although we think, oh, it's a year away or just under a year away, time goes quickly. So I'll keep adding those sorts of videos as well. But as I see towns that I like and contenders, I'll definitely share those with you as well. So thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. And I'll stop saying this soon, but if it's just me that's watching at the end of all this, hi future Mandy, I hope you're in Italy. Thanks, guys. Bye.